Greetings, kindred. I hope you're all doing well. Just to let you know, I have written a Mercury retrograde article because Mercury will go into pre-shadow on the 3rd of August. Now, the super full moon, we've got a big moon coming up, so it should look pretty in our skies while we're photographing. Will reach its peak on the 1st of August. So that will be at 19:31 in the GMT time zone, and that's London, UK. At 14:31 in the EDT time zone, and on the 2nd of August at 4:31 in the AEDT time zone. So just like the new moon, it was a brewing. I felt like there was a brewing going on of something. Or was it the one before? I can't remember now. But I remember on one of the moons a couple of videos ago, a video or two ago, I felt this brewing energy, and I'm feeling the same here. And I'm so glad I did the Mercury retrograde article first, because it's given me a clearer picture of this full moon. So I feel this full moon is really a kickstart. You know, even though full moons is about winding things down, you know, over the next couple of weeks, we'll be winding things down. I really do feel in this instance more about releasing. And that's releasing like old patterns, old attitudes, habits, or things that we may be holding on to that we should really let go of. And that can include intimate relationships or friendships or even, you know, family members. So whatever it is, we need to release and trust that if that person or thing or whatever it is should be in our lives, if it should be in our lives, it will come back. But right now we need to release the controlling of it, you know, wanting to hold on to it. And that just keeps us stuck, and it's a waste of energy. And I'll get into that more in a minute as to why I'm saying that. So as you can see, this forming is, it's quite an entanglement going on here. I mean, here in the UK, we've got three, I think two kites and a grand trine, or maybe three kites even. You know, it's hard for me to see it that clearly. So I've just taken my notes from a global level. So we still have this kite that's been ongoing. Where is it? Which one? It's this one, isn't it? With the goddess Ceres, the moon, and the goddess Vesta. Now this is a nice grand earth trine, so it's really good for grounding techniques. And also because the moon, the goddess Ceres, and the goddess Vesta, they're all feminine. You know, there's a lot of feminine energy here that can be really good for us spiritually and even mentally and emotionally. So grounding techniques, meditation, especially meditations on releasing, will be very good. I like Steve Noble's meditations, actually. He's on YouTube, so you can grab a releasing meditation from him and do that if you want a guidance meditation. Or sometimes, like I said before, we can just sit there and meditate on nothing, just like on the sounds, like if we've got birds around us, or maybe playing a little bit of like theatre music in the background. Do you know what I mean? And also in candlelight, I feel candlelight will be very kind of soothing as well throughout this time. So, you know, as our full moon reaches its peak, it will be at 9 degrees in Capricorn. And like I said, part of this grand kite aspect, which I'll get more into in a minute. So the moon, as he reaches his peak, she will be in opposition to the sun, which she always is at a full moon, but also in opposition to the black moon Lilith. Now, the black moon Lilith isn't conjunct the sun, because I only consider a conjunction to be within 4 degrees. But, you know, even in this opposition, like she is in separation. She is in separation from the moon's energy. So I feel the build up to this full moon. You know, we're going to start feeling the dark energy that's coming in. And throughout this Mercury retrograde coming up, we are in this pre-shadow energy. So, you know, Venus is also retrograding as well in Leo. And the Leo energy, actually, the Leo energy itself is also going to be very strong because we've got the Lionsgate portal coming up as well. Even though the Lionsgate portal, you know, the 8-8 actually occurs in the sign of Cancer. It's not until the 11th of August, astronomically, that the sun enters into Leo. So, you know, there's like 2.5 days in Cancer. The sun's 2.5 days in Cancer and 2.5 days in Leo at the Lionsgate portal. And that all makes perfect sense to me because that's the masculine and the feminine energies. And even though Leo is more a masculine sign, he needs that mothering, you know, and Cancer is very much the mother figure. So it's all about self-nurture around the Lionsgate portal. I haven't gone too deep into them charts right now because I've just done the Mercury retrograde article and now I'm doing this full moon video and the Lionsgate video will follow in the next few days. So getting back to the moon reaching its peak at 9 degrees in Capricorn. I mean, the moon in Capricorn anyway can like make us a little bit detached or come across as a little bit detached. You know, we can be pretty cautious or come across as like, you know, a little bit kind of reserved. And also the moon in Capricorn is more connected to the material side of life rather than the spiritual. But the opposition that the moon is making towards the black moon Lilith, the sun, and square to Jupiter, I do feel like there's this spiritual or moralistic sense of nurture that needs to come in. And I feel that really is representing we need to get into our spiritual selves, our spiritual rituals or practices at this time. Because I feel we need to prepare ourselves for the upcoming Mercury retrograde, for the Lionsgate portal, because the Lionsgate portals over the last few years have been pretty intense, you know, so it's this time we're in right now, it is all about the balancing of the masculine and the feminine energies, not just within us, but collectively as well. And right now, the unevolved masculine energy is being very dominating. And I feel he'll become more and more dominating and brutal with his domination as as the months go on. And we're all seeing what's going on in our world right now. That is a very uninvolved masculine energy that's occurring. So going back to this, you know, beautiful grand trine here, I mean, this represents women's groups will be fantastic. And not just women's empowerment groups, but also yoga, Tai Chi, you know, any gentle exercise. I wouldn't say like the gym or even swimming is a gentle exercise. So, you know, not necessarily like weightlifting or running, unless you really kind of get grounded with that, because I feel it's grounding energy that we need right now to prepare us for the month of August, because August is going to be pretty intense and it's going to feel pretty dark. But remember, out of the darkness comes some amazing gifts. And this is a time, you know, it's been building for a long time. You know, we reached these peaks. We haven't reached a grand finale yet. I don't feel that's coming in until next year. But we, you know, throughout the last few years, we've been reaching these peaks of like breakthroughs. Do you know what I mean? And it's not necessarily breakthroughs that have been, it's been really kind of a hard time for many with these breakthroughs, with these awakenings, facing your shadow side. And it's when we face our shadow side, really, that we do need to make a choice of what path we're going to follow in life. Are we going to avoid doing the shadow work and just, you know, um, use that energy for the negative? Or are we going to incorporate that and bring those gifts to the fore and take them out into the world, in whatever way that might be? There's nothing more rewarding than facing your shadow, collecting your gifts. And, it's not easy. It's a very challenging time. But out of it comes so much self-healing, so much self-love and self-empowerment. And even though we're not in that energy forever, it's a beautiful energy while we're in it. That's why it's called ascension, because we do ascend up into the heavens. Do you know what I mean? Into the, our higher chakras. And we get a lot of information while we're up there that we bring back down to take forward. And I feel many people have been going through this in bursts over the last few years, coming into that realization. First of all, it's very kind of fearful, it's kind of scary. But if we sit in that shadow and like, not necessarily absorb it, but listen and take note, because we've all got something to release. And even if we've done releasing, it don't mean to say that down the road we've got more releasing to do, because it is like once we face our shadow side, we then go on a spiral, but we keep going round in circles until we're willing to take that path, and then we spiral. So we're always coming back around to challenges, but they're not right on top of us. It's like we're dealing with them in different ways, and they come in different ways. So I am going on a tangent, but I really do feel this month of August, that's what it's going to be about. And I know this chart is about the full moon right now, but this is a kickstart. This is a brewing now of when we enter into Mercury pre-shadow on the 3rd of August. So, we've got the moon in square to Jupiter. Well, actually, it's a T square because our sun and moon are in opposition, and both of them are in square to Jupiter, is at 14 degrees here in Aries. Now, Jupiter in Aries is a double fire sign anyway, and quite fast paced, quite expansive, with the Arian impulsivity. And with the Jupiter expansion, it's like, wow. you there's a lot going on energetically. It's very fiery, very passionate, very powerful. It's very shifting, a very shifting energy. But with the moon and sun in square, it can be all about emotional excess. It's all about being overindulgent, not just with ourselves, but maybe with other people. Like, we can be telling people how to live their lives under this energy, and, kind of like rubbing people up the wrong way, or throwing our money into things that are not necessary. So we've got to watch out for wasting energy, wasting finances, and, stuff like that. It can also represent like extremism emotionally, especially with Venus in retrograde in Leo. It can be a little bit of a drama queen. So maybe we are getting these powerful emotions coming up to the fore. But the best way to deal with that is to release it, but not onto other people. We need to go away and deal with that and find out what our triggers are. And a lot of the time, we have these really high expectations, and, it can even not just be with individual people, though. It can be as a collective energy. It can also be in our financial systems, because Jupiter does rule like the financial systems as well as Saturn and Venus, you know? So there's a lot brewing now, and I know there is a lot brewing now. We're talking about the digital currencies and stuff like that. Sorry, I just had to plug my laptop in because the battery's about to go. Have I done that right? Oh, there we go. So, you know, I can see throughout the Mercury retrograde, there's a lot of financial changes that, you know, there's some big, big changes coming, especially with this Uranus energy, you know, now in sextile to Neptune, and also Pluto in sextile in Neptune. Now, in my Mercury article, I did say like it's going to be a time where we can't sit on the fence any longer, where we need to make a choice. But, you know, on a bigger level, that choice is like, do we stick to what we've been doing for the last couple of centuries, you know, or the last couple of decades? But I feel more than that. Or, you know, more in the financial, material, physical world? Or do we get into our higher consciousness? I mean, remember, Pluto is also about self-power, also about enlightenment. Do you know what I mean? But he's also very nuclear, can also be very destructive. And, you know, he will just take things out at a blink of an eye and replace it with something else, you know? But there's no consultation there with Pluto, no consultation. I mean, there isn't really a consultation with Uranus because Uranus moves, or he, I should say. Uranus was actually a eunuch, but Aquarius is actually a feminine. So, you know, he was the eunuch looking after the Aquarius, who was a feminine. So just wanted to say that because I do get a bit mixed up. So we do have a masculine ruler ruling a feminine sign here. You know, we really need to think before we act with this T square. You know, like I said, the impulsive Aryan energy and the Jupiter expansive energy, we can make things expand too quickly and then they just pop and go into nothing. You know, so it's like a hot air balloon, so to speak, you know, building castles in the sky as well, you know, big fantasies or ideas that are just a little bit too much to be in this realistic world, especially the way it is now. And, you know, we've had this ongoing kite aspect as well, haven't we? Which is a beautiful grand trine actually in this kite. And we do have the sun on top. So, you know, I feel there can be a great enlightenment this full moon, especially if we are doing our spiritual practices, meditations, gentle exercise, candlelight meditation, scrying. I just feel a lot of information can come in at this time. And I really do feel this full moon is all about self-nurture, self-control, releasing what we're holding on to, you know, that's creating stagnant energy. It's all about release and self-control and self-nurture, but in a spiritual, moralistic way. And I just feel that that will be very beneficial and will put us in preparation for the month of August. Because like I said, it is going to be a heavy, dark energy, but out of that is going to come some beautiful gifts. So, you know, we also have this yod with the South Node in sextile to Venus, who's in retrograde. You know, this is us. There is an opportunity to connect with the past, with past things or a past love, but it can be, you know, a very triggering energy as well, where we can go too much into fantasy land. Do you know what I mean? This is like Cinderella waiting for a prince to come in, and, you know, that's the story. And remember, Well, actually, I say remember, you may not have even read it yet. In my Mercury retrograde article, when Mercury goes retrograde in Leo, it is a little bit about storytelling. So some of us can be a little bit in escapism, where things are just becoming too much. So we're trying to find a form of escape. And to me, the only escapism that is beneficial is doing your spiritual practices or even getting into your creativity, crafting, you know, um, anything along those lines, whether you paint, sing, dance, whatever, but you've got to let go of fantasy and be real and grounded right now, because we need to be grounded to get through the next few weeks. I haven't looked beyond that, but definitely over the next few weeks, we need to be grounded because there's a lot of hype out there. Venus retrograding in Leo, bit of a drama queen. Mercury retrograding in Leo, a bit of a storyteller. But that's not all bad because it can be very entertaining, you know. But some people can use that and use that negatively, that energy. So we just need to be aware of that. And there is a lot going on with Pluto, Saturn, Mars, and the Black Moon Lilith throughout Mercury's retrograde. So they are really heavy planets, and even Jupiter and Uranus are involved. So, quite heavily. So this is like a battle of wills, a battle that's going on, and we need to choose whether we're going to stay in our spiritual, on our spiritual path, or whether we're going to be dragged into like the material side of life, the material physical side of life that really is portraying a lot of destruction. So we just need to watch out for that as well. Like I said, this full moon is all about grounding techniques. With the sun on top of the sky, it really can bring a light into those dark corners so we can see, like, a more expanded, I suppose, perspective. This conjunction can be we're too quick to see, or we can be manipulative, like, know how to get around things by using manipulation or game playing. So we need to be careful of that. We don't want game playing, we want strategy, and strategy that benefits everybody. It's not for selfish reasons. So there's also this battle going on between people that want to empower others and people that just want what they want for themselves, so that energy is very much at large as well, and it has been for a while. But I'm not going to go too much into this chart because I would like you to read the Mercury retrograde article. I will be putting out the Lionsgate portal video in the next few days. So, I'm going to leave it there. But I'm sending you all peace and much love. Take care.